officials, Egypt has completely rejected Ethiopia's unilateral decision to start the second filling of its dam. Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, Mohammed Abdulati, described the move as a flagrant and dangerous breach of the 2015 Declaration of Principles signed by the three countries. In a letter to Ethiopia's Minister of Water Resources, Minister Abdulati said the measure is a violation of international norms and laws, guiding the building of projects on joint basins of international rivers, including the Nile. Meanwhile, Abdulati said Egypt is not against development in Ethiopia or other Nile Basin countries, but stressed that development projects must be in line with rules of international laws and address concerns of downstream countries. Speaking during a video conference with the Executive Director of the UN Environment Programme, Inga Anderson, the minister reviewed the water situation in Egypt and challenges to the water sector in the country, especially with limited resources available and the impact of climate change and unilateral Ethiopian measures over the filling and operation of its dam. The Foreign Ministry sent a letter to the UN Security Council detailing the latest developments to Ethiopia's dam file ahead of Thursday's session called to discuss the dam. In its letter, the ministry said that the Ethiopian side's move is a dangerous development that exposes its bad intentions and insistence on taking unilateral measures. According to the letter, the move proves Ethiopia's stand to enforce a status quo without reaching a deal that addresses interests of the three countries and limits harm to the two downstream countries. It warned that the unilateral decision of the second filling of the dam would worsen the crisis, arouse more tensions in the region, and jeopardize international and regional peace and security. Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri called on the United Nations Security Council to shoulder its responsibilities and to act to reach a binding and just agreement about the filling and operation of Ethiopia's dam. The Foreign Minister remarks came during his meeting with representatives of Russia and China to the United Nations ahead of the United Nations Security Council session to discuss the Renaissance Dam filling issue on Thursday. During the meetings, the top diplomat expressed Egypt's firm stand towards the issue that is based on the necessity of reaching a legally binding agreement on the dam's filling and operation, taking into account the interests of the three countries and preserving Egypt's water rights. Shukri held another meeting with the Arab Committee concerned with the dam's file, which includes Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iraq and Morocco, plus the Arab League. He also held a meeting with the permanent members of the African Group of the UN Security Council, as well as representatives of Estonia, Ireland, Mexico and Norway, the non-permanent members of the Security Council over the Ethiopian dam. Earlier, Shukri met with Tunisian permanent representative to the UN, as Tunisia is the current Arab representative in the Security Council. At the meeting in New York, the Egyptian and Sudanese foreign ministers said firmly that they rejected Ethiopia's unilateral move of the second filling of its dam, saying the step contradicts the Declaration of Principles and goes against international laws guarding the use of cross-border river resources. The top diplomats warned that the move is a dangerous provocation that proves Ethiopia's bad intentions and adamancy to force a status quo on the two downstream countries, indifferent to inflicted negative impacts. They agreed to continue discussions with the UN Security Council members to gain support for the call by Cairo and Khartoum to reach a legally binding agreement over the dam's filling and operation. The two ministers further stressed the necessity that the deal addresses interests of the three countries and preserves the water rights of the two downstream nations. And ahead of the United Nations Security Council session on Ethiopia's dams filling, the Speaker of the Arab Parliament, Adel Abdurrahman Al-Assoumi, urged the UN Security Council to act to reach a binding and just agreement about the filling and operation of the dam. Al-Asumi said the Arab Parliament is acting according to international law and norms that govern transboundary rivers such as the Nile, which is jointly owned by all countries on its banks. He said that the move by one party to have full control over the river is totally unacceptable, as well as its attempt to impose new facts on the ground to help upstream countries control their downstream neighbors. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli arrived in Aswan on Tuesday to check on a number of projects and facilities in Luxor and Aswan. During a tour of renovation works at El Kabash Road, Madbouli stressed that the state bodies are exerting the utmost efforts to revive and restore historical areas and archaeological sites with the aim of maintaining Egypt's heritage and treasures that are reflecting its long-standing civilization over the ages. He said the renovation of Kabash Road aims at turning Luxor into an open museum linking Karnak Temple to Luxor Temple. El Kabash Road will be inaugurated in a big ceremony as part of the state's national project to revive the historical and archaeological sites nationwide.